Judith, thank you so much for having me to your beautiful home and your studio today. I want to talk all about your paintings, but first, tell me when you fell in love with art.
I think I was born in love with art, actually. Because I've loved art as long as I can remember.
I read that you studied art in high school.
Yes.
And then you minored in art in college. So
Yes.
what made you decide to pursue it further?
Well, actually, I minored in it because my parents were old school and commercial art was for men.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, that was just a waste of time to go into commercial art. Teaching, now that was the career for women. So that's the direction I was headed.
And did you teach?
Oh, short time. It's not my thing.
But you continued to paint.
Yes.
And were you always into kind of the realism aesthetic?
Yeah, I like the realism.
What
I
is
was
it
correct.
about nature that you love to capture in paintings?
It's just, I don't know, it just speaks to me. I try to capture the beauty and just the feeling I get when I'm like out in the woods.
Tell me about your process. Do you work from photographs?
Mostly, yes.
And do you take pictures specifically knowing that you want to turn that image into a painting?
I have that idea in the back of my mind, but mostly I just take what interests me, like the stone in Sedona and a pretty flower along the path.
So when you are outdoors, are you always looking at nature in terms of what you can capture in a painting?
Pretty much.
Yeah. How do you think that your work has changed and evolved over the years?
Well, I've seen actually a lot of improvement. Things I thought were like, oh, this is really good. A few years ago, I look at them and I'm like, that's not so good.
And do you think that it's just practice that has really
I
made
think
the
it
difference?
is.
Do you continue to study different techniques, or do you stay on course with?
I love to go to art museums and look at art books. And I watch like painting shows on TV, pick up little tips.
Sure. You work mostly with acrylics. What is it
Yes.
about acrylic that you love?
One, they dry fast. I'm not very patient.
So oils are not for you.
No, I'm not patient enough. That, and I'm allergic to oil paint.
Oh my gosh. I hope you didn't have to find that out the hard way.
I did, actually. I took an oil painting class
Oh,
and found out that I am actually allergic to them.
So tell me a little bit, we started talking about your process. You generally work from photographs.
Yes.
And how does it work? Where do you start? I think a blank canvas is terrifying.
Well, I usually take like the blank white canvas, and most times I put a neutral background. If I have something in mind, then I put, like I did one, I put a red background just because I thought it would make the colors more vibrant in it. But usually I start with a neutral, a gray or blue background.
What is the process of mixing your colors? Do you, again, this might be a stupid question, but do you mix them on a palette or do you mix them on the canvas? How does that work that you can't?
Well, when I do the background, a lot of times I just mix them on the canvas. But then when I'm doing the actual painting, I mix them on a palette and just keep tweaking them till I get the color I want.
You must have always been good at creating, because I don't know how you take a blank canvas, put a background on it, and then just start painting a bird, for example.
Well, it's like I heard a wood carver say once, you just carve away everything that doesn't look like the image. I just
Okay.
paint out anything that doesn't look like the image.
Wow. So from start to finish, how long does a painting generally take?
It varies. I can usually get something down on canvas in a couple hours, but then I usually tweak it forever, sometimes even after it's framed.
Wow, really? Okay, now this might be a really stupid question, but do you sketch first? Like your animals, for example, or do you just go right in with paint?
Sometimes I'll make like just a basic so I know where it's going, but usually I just paint.
I feel like that takes a certain amount of bravery to just jump in. Does it feel like that to you, or is it just because I'm not an artist?
It just, I don't know, it feels natural. I love to paint because it just feels like magic when I put the colors onto the canvas, and then sometimes I'll go back and look at it in a few minutes after it's dried and see different color combinations come out.
What do you think painting has taught you about yourself?
That I can express myself through paint. And it's given me a sense of me. I tried teaching, I've tried writing, I've tried working in an office, and it just didn't give me a chance to really express who I am.
Do you paint every day? How often do you sit down with your paints?
Any chance I can.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes if I'm awake in the middle of the night, I'm in here painting.
Really? I should try that. Instead of laying awake and thinking. You live in such an idyllic setting for someone who likes to paint nature. Was that a choice?
That was a criteria for getting this house.
Wow. And do you use your own backyard as inspiration?
Because I get a lot of birds and stuff around, squirrels.
Yeah. Have you taken a photograph of something and been excited about it and then just not really been able to translate?
Yes, a lot.
Really? And do you just start over, or do you continue to work on it? Abandoned ship?
Oh, I have a whole cabinet over there of I abandoned ship.
Yeah.
And I have a whole cabinet of photographs that, I can't get that to come out. I'll put it away for later.
And do you go back to them often?
Sometimes I pull them out and work on them and think, that's how that works.
I've had a number of artists tell me that the hardest part of painting is knowing when you're finished. You already mentioned that you sometimes go back even when they're framed.
I have one that actually is spoken for. It's going out this weekend, and I had it in here yesterday tweaking it.
Wow. So that brings me to the idea of selling your work. Does selling it make it less joyful for you? Does the business aspect make it less joyful?
No, because I'm not that much into the business. I'm thrilled when it sells, but then there's always a part of me, I let my baby go.
Yes, that's what I wondered. I can imagine that you pour so much into it that it's hard to see it go. Do you have any pieces that you wouldn't sell?
I have one of my grandchildren that it's not for sale.
I saw it and I thought, that's the only one that I've seen with people, because you have lots of animals.
I usually do animals and nature. My favorite things to paint are water and rocks.
And why is that?
They're fun to paint.
What is the best part of coming in here, whether it's in the middle of the night or whenever, to sit down with a canvas?
It's my space.
And you have a literal space.
I do.
You built a studio in your house, so the best part is that it's yours?
Yes. We drove Westport nuts adding this on, but
It was worth it?
it was worth it.
What is the hardest part?
Getting the image in my head onto the canvas and getting it to look like I'm envisioning it.
So obviously you are inspired by nature, but what do you consider your biggest influences?
I like a lot of the Renaissance and Impressionist artists. And I had an uncle who was a commercial artist.
And you're inspired by his work?
I was inspired by him.
I'm surprised to hear you say that you love the Impressionist work because your work is so realistic. So how do you take what you learn and love about that genre and incorporate it into your work?
That's a hard question.
I don't mean to stump you.
I just love their work and just the imagery, and I try to do it so that I feel like I don't have to be exact. Like this rock doesn't have to be exactly the shape it is.
Is that how you are able to take a photograph and paint it, because you give yourself that permission?
Because I do more my impression of the picture than an exact copy.
Have you always done that, or was there a time when you looked at the colors, for example, in a photograph and really tried to directly
When I was
translate
first
it?
starting, I tried to do exact.
Yeah. If you could give any advice to yourself as a young artist, what would it be?
Follow your dreams. Don't let anybody talk you out of them.
Are you happy with the way that your journey has gone so far, or do you wish that in college you had taken the plunge and made this your vocation?
Early on, I had a lot of regrets on it, but I've gotten with a great group from the Fort Wayne Artist Guild that I paint with, wonderful group of ladies, and I've got a little studio and time to paint, and I don't have any regrets now.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm also so glad that you invited us today. Thank you for showing us your work and for all the beauty you put into the world.
Thank you for coming.
Arts in Focus on PBS Fort Wayne is funded in part by the Our Foundation and the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne.